The stores are watching us. Let's talk about it on Azimuth Podcast. I'm Kimberly McNabb, and with me as always is my husband, Barrett McNabb.
Thanks, Kimberly. So retail chains, internal security forces. That sounds so weird to say. Internal security forces. Wow. Investigate thefts and go through security camera footage. They track license plates, and they connect the dots of criminal networks. Then they share their investigations that contain the bulk of the evidence needed by police to then get search warrants. Remember, these are private corporations, and therefore they don't need to have the different burdens of proof and get
Worry
a judge.
about jurisdictions and stuff. They just basically package it up for the police and
hand
here
it
you
over.
go,
Yeah.
and they can get search warrants.
So retailers say that all the in-store security measures, the locked-up laundry detergent, the separate makeup section at Walmart are emblematic of the ongoing threat of organized retail crime, which typically involves groups of low-level thieves who steal items for middlemen who then sell the items on eBay, on Amazon, and people that are unsuspecting customers hunting for deals. And, it's pretty sad. These investments, though, can translate into higher prices for consumers as they make these
They have higher costs. They have to charge higher prices.
Exactly. If they're having to hire specialists that can look at cameras, if they have specialists that type up AI programs to look for certain behaviors, all that costs money.
Recognize faces.
And things like that. So we have a friend of ours that started out after he graduated college with a degree in criminal justice as asset protection and loss prevention. And so the loss prevention, I believe, was focused on internal, so employees stealing from the company, right? So whether they have a shirt and they want to buy it for themselves, but they cover the tag and as it goes across the scanner and walk out with it themselves, they have the ability to utilize the
ink stain
removers and things like that. And then the asset protection was for shoplifters, right? So, but he was employed full time. The little plastic black domes, the cameras that are up there, he gave me a tip. Not every one of those has a camera in it. And so a lot of them
get people
to think they're being watched. Yeah. And so let's just say there's 100 of them, only a third of them have actual cameras that are in there, at least at the time he was doing this. And he would, after hours, get up in the crawl space above the ceiling, and he would move the cameras around. And so you didn't know. So there's only a third of the cameras, but you didn't know because they're all dark, right? You can't see. But he would, he would move things around, and so it was kind of this guessing game of which one has the cameras and which ones don't. Now with the advent of AI, it's not just a single person staring at all those cameras. But he also had plainclothes people that kind of walked around the store and looked at people to see if they were putting stuff in their bags and stuff like that. But really, again, having this become more robust than it did even 20 years ago, you're right. It's going to be higher prices for consumers. And, of course, you have civil liberty advocates claiming that the surveillance technology used by retailers can infringe on individuals' privacy. But the way I look at it, you are now on private property, right? You're now in the store. You're now in the store.
You don't have to be there.
Right. You're voluntary. And I would say that, you probably just need to have a sign on the outside, FYI, by walking in the store, you're going to be monitored by cameras.
Right. Well, I know certain parts of the country, they monitor speed by laser from an airplane or something.
Right, yeah.
So it's pretty much in 2024, assume people are watching you all the time.
Exactly.
But, while retailers have long partnered with law enforcement, the industry has bolstered bolstered its own role in recent years, devoting more staff and financial resources to thwart theft, including Home Depot. They have invested in police-like investigation centers to sift through data and pinpoint theft group members. And where law enforcement agencies sometimes face jurisdictional limits to their investigations, retailers can track cases across state and county lines, especially these big corporate box retailers that go, they're in every state, with increasingly sophisticated tools such as AI that identify faces and patterns.
Yeah, I mean, that's a, again, that just can't hit that home enough. I mean, by being able to collect data across state lines and have a unity of effort in getting that data, and you're not having to, be a police force that has to go get a warrant from a judge and then make coordinations to go across state lines because the person resides across state lines, and then even to have to extradite the person back across state line. I mean,
right.
Being a big company that have stores everywhere and to have these command centers, I think it's a huge ease to collect all this data and then give it to the police officers wrapped in a package with a cherry on top.
Well, also, in the era of defund the police, Of course, the police departments aren't going to have the resources that corporations have. But, critics charge that the industry has exaggerated the issue to achieve policy goals or justify store closures caused by underperformance. I heard a story about, people who have their Walgreens closed because, there was so much theft and so they couldn't, afford to keep the doors open. And so when they closed up shop, they're like, hey, that's racist. No, stop stealing. And if you know someone who stole, tell them to take it back or something.
Right. I mean, we all see those videos of these flash mobs coming in and just ransacking a store.
Well, also me personally, I mean, in certain areas, you go to a retail store, I mean, it is so common to see open packages on the shelf. They're not making it up. I mean, it's happening at these stores in lower income neighborhoods. It's not happening at Whole Foods. It's happening at Walmart and places like that. And, now I don't notice at Dollar General because it always looks like a bomb went off.
That's true.
But still, most retailers insist they have seen an uptick in organized theft. About 90% of asset protection professionals surveyed last year said that crime has become more of a risk over the prior 3 years. And, what happened 3 years ago? I mean, you have change in presidents, you have change in leaders, you have the defund movement, the police movement.
Right. Yeah, a lot of times you have talking heads on major news networks that are, and even some politicians as well that point to crime going down. And if crime is going down, then how are these flash mobs being filmed on YouTube? How are these stores, continuously losing revenue and they have to close it down? And it's not because crime is going down. It's because whatever you cherry pick to say crime is going down, you grabbed a statistic on a crime, nuclear weapon theft. It's gone way down. Nuclear weapon theft has gone way down, and so therefore we can just say crime has gone down.
Well, certain police departments have chosen not to report it. And, if citizens and companies, businesses get fed up enough and they know the police aren't going to come, then they're not going to call it in either. So you have multiple factors that can play into those phony numbers.
Yeah. I mean, but I think it's disingenuous to say that because obviously we can see that this organized crime has this uptick, and these companies are reporting major losses. I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars.
Also, it's not free to lock up all the makeup at Walmart.
Right.
I mean, that stuff costs money, and so they would not invest in those things if people weren't stealing it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the added security, locks, gates, cameras, other tech and stuff like that to deter theft. But, Home Depot said, unfortunately, this creates an environment for our customers that isn't very friendly.
And they wonder why people are ordering more stuff online. Like, yeah, if I can't get it somewhere physical and I have to wait for a person to show up to get basic things, I'll just order it online.
Which is crazy and ironic because a lot of these things are being stolen and then sold online. So
and then you have the porch pirates
too. And I'm not savvy enough. When you go to Amazon, I don't know what's being sold exactly by Amazon and what's being sold by a third-party vendor that is using Amazon as well. So I'm assuming it's the third-party vendors that you would have to take a look at.
Washington State Attorney General Bob Ferguson said when asked by CNN about the role of retailers, everything you're seeing in these probable cause statements is what you would see in case after case after case as we go forward with this work.
Yeah, obviously it's a problem, and we know it's a problem because organizations and companies are addressing it. Right. If it wasn't a problem, there would be nothing for them to address. And for companies like Home Depot or Walmart to get as sophisticated as they are in order to combat this just leads me to believe that it is a huge problem. Yeah. Otherwise, you wouldn't make that significant investment. But the article also said that organized retail crime cases are inherently complex anyway to investigate and prosecute, especially for these local agencies with limited resources. So if you think the police can't investigate the crimes, so why would you not want a public-private partnership?
Right.
I mean, because obviously the companies have. They have a budget, but you would effectively say it's almost unlimited, for what they can do. I mean, if you think that they're losing $300 million, dollars a year in, was it called shrinkage? Is that?
That's one way they put it.
But if they're losing $300 million, if they invested $100 million to prevent that $300 million, then they're effectively saving $200 million.
Right, and that's probably the math they're using. But also another problem is in a lot of jurisdictions, you're not allowed to chase shoplifters out of the store.
Right.
Well, that would be a deterrent if you know somebody's going to chase you.
Right.
And so companies have to do something. But, these businesses, they're the ones with the skin in the game. They're the ones that pay the price if people steal their stuff. And they want to stay in business. And, they don't just have customers to answer to. They don't just have their employees to answer to. Like if they go out of business, those are people without jobs. They also have shareholders.
Exactly.
So I don't think the companies are doing this just to be mean or just to be racist. They're doing this so they can stay in business.
Yeah, I would have to say that companies don't do knee-jerk all that often. No. And so this has been a measured response to solve the problem that they have. But, there's been cases like Linda Ann Bean, an Oklahoma woman, that she was sentenced to more than 5 years in prison earlier this month for managing an organized theft ring that federal prosecutors say stole about $9 million of property from retailers. So, again, this is not $9
million. Wow.
Not the $900 that
Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, exactly. To go from a misdemeanor to a felony, and they keep raising that limit so that people can do it. So this is not just a one-time $900 theft. This is hundreds of people organized stealing property to equal $9 million. Mm-hmm. And according to the state affidavit, the case was largely began with an investigator for CVS, which is a pharmacy if you don't have one in your area, who noticed a trend of thefts at his company stores in the Tulsa, Oklahoma area. And he used records to link low-level thieves who physically robbed the stores with Bean and shared his findings with a local detective. So again, this really was kind of a manager that was kind of doing this on his own, right? But the investigation later revealed how Bean had provided the thieves with a list of items. So again, this is organized, right? Because this is what I want. So here's my shopping list to steal from businesses across multiple states. Again, that's going to confound the police because we have multiple jurisdictions, multiple police departments, state, local, things like that. And I don't think this is a federal crime. So there's not going to be the FBI looking in. Maybe I misspoke. I'm not sure, but still, the company, the CVS, is in multiple states, and so they can coordinate their efforts. But the items were organized at a warehouse in a boutique clothing shop in a suburb of Tulsa. And what I thought that was really interesting, and it was
CVS items in a boutique shop.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, Bean is somebody that in the criminal world they're called a fence. And a fence is somebody that, buys stolen stuff and then kind of moves it along. They kind of act as that middleman. But anyway, these fences outside of Oklahoma, who in turn sold the products through websites including eBay and Amazon, like we've said before, to other customers. But, the critics say the police are public entities. You can send them a public records request. You can elect a mayor who may want to bring change in the police department. You can't do that with a giant corporation. You have very little control over the technology they deploy and how they deploy it and what they do with that data. And that is the rub of people saying that, corporations are not accountable, local police are, but maybe that's a good thing in this case.
You've defunded the police and you have all these DAs that don't prosecute crime, then somebody has to take it into their own hands. And, some people say that the federal level needs to do more. A bill in Congress has received criticism. This enforcement first response, we don't think that leads to crime deterrence. Chloe White, an attorney with the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights, told CNN. Well, if it punishes crime, then yes, it would. Okay? Enforcement, people see other people getting the law enforced. For other people, they don't want to do it. People respond to incentive and deterrence structures. That's why more people don't murder their bosses, because they don't want to go to jail.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the big things on crime and punishment, is that the punishment needs to be swift, certain, and severe. And so swift, speedy trial, not dragging this thing out. Plus the Constitution says you need to get a speedy trial. Certain that you've done X and Y will happen to you, right? And then severe. It needs to be bad enough that I'm not going to ever do this again, and bad enough so that other people say, oh, I don't want that to happen to me. I'm not going to do anything either. So really that swift, certain, and severe is crucial for this deterrence. But major online marketplaces say they've taken steps to combat such crime as well. So Amazon touts a program that applies unique codes to certain products that can be used to detect and track stolen items. Mike Carson, eBay's senior director of global policy, said eBay has safeguards, including automated processes that flag irregularities among items for sale, which then can prompt further investigation. So this is really good that we have, effectively the end user, if you will, of a stolen product. It's gone from the person that has initially stolen it to the fence to somebody else who then sells it. And so now we have the end user, eBay, Amazon, other online places, getting into the game. And so it's going to be another peg that's going to slow down, hopefully, retail theft.
Yep.
So we saw this article, and we wanted to bring it to your attention. And thank you so much for watching Azimuth Podcast. Please stay tuned after these messages.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy our show with all of the stories we share, we would love your support.
And it's as easy as clicking that subscribe or follow button. This will ensure you never miss an episode and keeps us bringing you these important stories. Your support makes a huge difference. Thank you so much for being part of our podcast family.
Thanks, and keep tuning in. So I recently saw Bill Maher on the Megyn Kelly Show and The View. And he, as well as President Biden recently, have said that the Republican Party has changed. How so? Welcome to Azimuth Podcast. I'm Kimberly McNabb, and with me, as always, is my husband, Barrett McNabb. So, have we really changed? Let's watch.
You took out a full-page ad in major U.S. newspapers last year criticizing U.S. foreign policy. What would you do differently, Donald?
I'd make our allies, forgetting about the enemies you can't talk to so easily, I'd make our allies pay their fair share. We're a debtor nation. Something's going to happen over the next number of years with this country, because you can't keep going on losing $200 billion, and yet we let Japan come in and dump everything right into our markets and everything. It's not free trade. If you ever go to Japan right now and try to sell something, forget about it, Oprah. Just forget about it. It's almost impossible. They don't have laws against it. They just make it impossible.
So one of the things that they used to do is say that there was, a shipping container of lettuce that was wanting to be sold in Japan. They didn't have a law that said, you can't import lettuce. But what they would do is they just take it off the ship and let it sit in the Japanese sun for a period of time, and till they got ready to look at it. And then they'd open up the shipping container, and all the lettuce would be rotten. And they'd say, it's rotten, can't be sold. So no law, but still impossible to sell stuff.
They come over here, they sell their cars, their VCRs, they knock the hell out of our companies. And hey, I have tremendous respect for the Japanese people. I mean, you can respect somebody that's beating the hell out of you, but they are beating the hell out of this country. Kuwait, they live like kings. The poorest person in Kuwait, they live like kings. And yet they're not paying. We make it possible for them to sell their oil. Why aren't they paying us 25% of what they're making? It's a joke.
This sounds like political presidential talk to me, and I know people have talked to you about whether or not you want to run. Would you ever?
Probably not, but I do get tired of seeing the country ripped off.
Why would you not?
I just don't think I really have the inclination to do it. I love what I'm doing. I really like it.
Also, it doesn't pay as well.
No, it doesn't. But, I just probably wouldn't do it, Oprah. I probably wouldn't, but I do get tired of seeing what's happening with this country.
It's interesting, all the way back from 1988 when he's talking about this.
Talking about making other countries pay their fair share, and looking out after ourselves. So I would say President Trump sounds the same now as he does as he did then.
Well, let's keep going and see if there's anything else we can glean from this.
And if it got so bad, I would never want to rule it out totally, because I really am tired of seeing what's happening with this country, how we're really making other people live like kings, and we're not.
What do you think of this year's presidential race, the way it's shaping up?
Well, it's going to be very interesting. I think that probably George Bush has an advantage in terms of the election. I think that probably people would say that he's got like that little edge in terms of the incumbency, et cetera, et cetera. But I think Jesse Jackson's done himself very proud. I think Michael Dukakis has done one hell of a job, and George Bush has done a hell of a job. They all went in there sort of.
So Trump, the racist, has given praise to the Reverend Jesse Jackson, who's an African American. And, if that's true that he's a racist, why would he say how good of a job that he's done?
Exactly.
I mean, really, he's praising Jesse Jackson, he's praising Dukakis, and he's praising Bush. It sounds like he's given praise all around.
Mm-hmm.
As semi-underdogs, including George Bush, and they've all come out. I think people that are around all three of those candidates can be very proud of the jobs they've done.
You've said, though, that if you did run for president, you believe you'd win.
Well, I don't know. I think I'd win. I tell you what, I wouldn't go in to lose. I've never gone in to lose in my life. And if I did decide to do it, I think I'd be inclined. I would say that I would have a hell of a chance of winning, because I think people, I don't know how your audience feels, but I think people are tired of seeing the United States ripped off. And I can't promise you everything, but I can tell you one thing. This country would make one hell of a lot of money from those people that for 25 years have taken advantage. It wouldn't be the way it's been, believe me.
Sounds the same to me.
Yeah, but let's verify. Just like the old Reagan trust but verify. Let's go ahead and see a recent clip.
Macron, do you know Macron? He's a very nice guy, Macron, and really a very nice guy. I said, Emmanuel, how are you? He said, fine. I said, I heard you're going to charge American companies 25% to do things in Mexico. Who else are you doing? Well, nobody yet, but we will do other. I said, no, but you're not going to do it, Emmanuel. You're not going to, no, Donald, it has already passed. I said, well, you better unpass it, because if you don't unpass it, you're going to pay a 100% tariff on all wines and champagnes that are shipped into the United States starting tonight.
Boom.
No, you cannot do that, Donald. You cannot do that. I said, I can do that. In fact, I'm just signing it right now. No. Okay, Donald, look, okay, we're not going to do it. That was the end of it, Mike. That was the end of it. It was so easy.
I love his accent, his impersonation.
Oh, that's one of my favorite clips I've seen of him. But yeah, same mindset, America first mindset. And that is what we need to get back to as a country. And from my perspective, the Republican Party has been more of American first party.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, when you look at, the historical American Party, Republican Party, and you take away all of the little ankle biters. You take away abortion. You take away taxes. You take away, from the left, pronouns and things like that. And you look at the Democrat Party and the Republican Party. The Republican Party is for states' rights. Right, small federal government, states' rights, whereas the Democrat Party is for large federal government.
Well, also,
and then you add in all those ancillary things that people talk about, taxes, immigration, abortion, things like that. So, for the Republican Party has not changed from being states' rights.
Not on the big issues, but I feel like the Democrat Party has also been more about giving our country away.
Right.
To everyone else, and there will be nothing left for us. There will be no one coming to save us. I think one reason, old school Democrats like Bill Maher and President Biden may say the Republican Party has changed is they're looking at it from the other side of the field, where it's like that Elon Musk tweet from a number of years ago where he, there's this line, he has a stick figure, and it's supposed to be him, and this in the middle. And the left side of the line has been stretched so much in one direction that, relatively speaking, who was in the center, relatively speaking, is now on the right side. And all these people have nearly walked off the cliff on the left side. And thank God they're not flat earth people, because the earth's not flat. They just walk right off of it.
Right.
And so they're looking down here like, oh, they seem so far away. That's because you have moved.
Right.
So that's my perspective, and when I heard Bill Maher and President Biden say those things. But speaking to voters out there, like, even if you don't like President Trump, he has not changed these ideas, his policies. And so when you're dealing with someone, like, who do you trust more, even if you don't like them? Like, where they stand. Would you rather deal with a coworker where they stand, or would you rather deal with a person you don't know what they're going to do next? I mean, typically they act more like a 3-year-old. They're just running in God knows what direction, doing God knows what else, and it's just unreliable. Like, what cliff are they going to lead you off of?
Right.
And so that's how I viewed the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at that, and with Donald Trump, what you see is what you get, right? And that's really, I guess he's a politician now, but that's really the problem with politicians, making campaign promises and things like that, is they say one thing and then they do something else. Well, Donald Trump, he says what he's going to do, and then he goes and does it. Now, he could be impacted by a Democrat Senate and a Democrat House and things like that, and they gum up the works and gum up, the executive actions and executive orders that he wants to do. But still, that I wouldn't say that's his fault. That's
just how our government works.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but still, he tried to do everything that he said he was going to do, and accomplished, especially things that the executive branch can accomplish. For example, moving the Israeli embassy to the capital of Israel in Jerusalem from Tel Aviv. And that was a long-standing policy that was supposed to happen, but president after president, Republican and Democrat, kicked the can down the road. And he finally said, this is what I'm going to do, and he did it. And so that's just one of these amazing things where, he has a position when he wasn't even a politician, when, he said it himself on Oprah that he wasn't planning on running. But if he did, he'd win. And that's. I
think he kind of hinted if he saw it get bad enough,
he'd jump in.
And that's what happened when he decided to run.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing is those 1988 positions haven't changed. And that's reassuring, because sometimes change is scary, but knowing who you're voting for and what you're going to get is, I think, a huge benefit.
Yep.
So thank you so much for watching Azimuth Podcast. Please stay tuned after these messages.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy our show with all the stories we share, we would love your support.
And it's as easy as clicking that subscribe or follow button. This will ensure you never miss an episode and keeps us bringing you these important stories. Your support makes a huge difference. Thank you so much for being part of our podcast family.
Thanks, and keep tuning in.
So who's really pulling the strings on the progressive movement inside the Democrat Party? Let's talk about it on Azimuth Podcast. I'm Barrett McNabb, and with me is my wife, Kimberly McNabb. So we have another Babylon Bee movie for you, and we love this website just because of all the satire they have. They are just hysterical.
Check them out on Instagram and YouTube.
Yeah, so they not only do they do articles, they do memes, they do videos and things like that. And they had this one that was hit so close to home as truthful that we just had to bring this to you. And so we're going to do a reaction to this. So let's go ahead and take a look at this.
Thank you all for meeting with me. You're all doing some wonderful work destroying the world, but I think it's probably time for us to reevaluate.
Yeah, sorry for the interruption, but I think we're in the wrong meeting. We're not here to destroy the world. We're here to save it. You see, we are some of the leading leaders of liberal causes, and I'm with the Human Rights Campaign, who focus on LGBTQ+ and trans rights. You see, I have the equal sign to let you know that I'm a good person.
Oh, excuse me,
have to tell
women's
yourself
reproductive rights.
Climate.
Free Palestine. Open borders.
I misspoke before. You guys are not destroying the world, okay? You are saving the world.
Whoa, what's up with those scare quotes?
Pretty sure I didn't use scare quotes when I said saving the world.
That's good.
The important thing to keep in mind is that there's a big election coming up, and you and I, we're all on the same page, okay? So if we want Biden to win, he needs to win in order for us to save the world. If we want Biden to win, you folks, and how can I say this? You might need to tone it down just.
Tone down what?
Oh, that's a good question. You're women's reproductive rights, right? Okay. Excellent branding, by the way. It's much easier on the ears than baby murder. So kudos to you on that one. But opposing any restrictions all the way through to the 9th month, I mean, you see how you're kind of tipping your hand, right? Makes people think, wait, maybe they actually want to kill babies. And we do, obviously.
No, we don't.
Oh,
No, we don't. We don't.
right. We don't. But you see how it can kind of look that way. So that's all I'm saying. Let's tone it down. And you, immigration.
So here we go. We're, obviously this is satire, but still it's truth. I mean, sometimes the squeaky wheel or the loudest voice in the room gets the attention. Well, you have everybody's attention, and I think you're off message with the American people.
Yeah, well, sometimes the loudest voice in the room is not always right. They just are the loudest voice in the room. And also, he's pointing out the irony in some of these people's names. Just because it sounds good doesn't mean it is good. You have to look at the consequences as well.
Yep, exactly. Let's keep going.
Clearly, we don't want a completely open border that undermines any sense of national sovereignty, driving down wages for the working class and overtaxing the welfare state. So let's go a bit easy there, too. I mean, why not something like this? Why not something like, diversity is our...
Are you trying to say diversity is our strength?
Yes! How do you say that without laughing? Oh my gosh. I can't even get through it. This is head de moi. My sides. My goodness. Okay, what about you? Pro-Palestine. You are, I'm going to say this. You're kind of coming across like you just want to wipe Israel off the map and kill all the Jews.
We do want to wipe Israel off the map and kill all the Jews.
Of course, yes. And that's awesome. I'm all for that. I love that. But you need to pretend like you don't want to wipe Israel off the map and kill all the Jews.
Why?
Excuse me.
I mean, we're pretty clear in our position, and most young people and everyone on college campuses, and half the Democratic Party, of course, still support us.
Yeah, it's cool now.
You may have a point there. You might be the only person in here that can be as evil as you want to be and get away with it. All right, still, let's think about tactics. Okay, do you think...
I love that part. Well, you seem to be the only ones that can be as evil as you want to be and get away with it. And that is the gosh darn truth.
Yeah, it's amazing how if you have any other opinion other than from the river to the sea, and you're on a college campus, man, you are just...
You'll get tased. You'll get punched. I mean, you won't be allowed to go to class.
This is crazy.
And the
And
thing
it's
is,
true.
and it is true because, first of all, now they have shown that a lot of people, not all, but a lot of people in these campus protests are not even with the college, but
Right.
the ones that are, they probably grew up never being told no. That's the trend for the last, 15 years of raising kids. Don't tell my kids that exists. Right. But and then you have the deans that don't shut any of this down. They're just wusses. I mean, like, why are you there? Why are you getting $1 million salary if you're not going to ever tell anybody no?
Right. That's crazy. But this is absolutely true. So you're the only one that can be as evil as you want to be and get away with it.
Think that occupying bridges and blocking traffic is somehow winning people over to your cause.
Yeah, and making people hate us by blocking traffic is our thing. He's stealing our thing.
You're not stealing your thing. You must die. We will kill you all.
So, yeah, it's not killing, all the Jews, like 12 million Jews, or I think it's 2 million Arab Muslim people, and then the other, they have like 7 to 9 million more Jews, but still, they want to kill all those people. But don't you dare block our bridge.
Right.
Honestly, there is a little element of truth. People want to get to where they're going to go. And I can take a lot of things I can't take, of course, but you should see me turn when a delivery driver is blocking our driveway. Barrett can tell you, like, don't block the driveway. Well, that's because home space,
Right.
And it's not just me. It's 7 other houses. We have a shared driveway, but I turn into a different person when someone blocks the driveway.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's hysterical.
Oh, and then the Greta Thunberg
Right.
lookalike. They did an awesome cast pick with that, but it's proof, just a little sampling, but proof that the left will eat their own.
Yep.
'Cause they turn on each other.
Exactly. And that's what the whole point of this is anyway.
See, this is what I'm talking about. I mean, okay, I love the homicidal thing that you got going on there. I really dig it, okay? But maybe market it just a little bit differently. Like the serial killer that everyone thinks is such a sweet guy, He's got 27 bodies in the basement, but he's like, coaching Little League. That's what I want. Be that guy.
Death to America.
The funny thing is, you don't even look Middle Eastern. Am I wrong, people? Am I wrong?
I'm not. I actually grew up on Long Island, but my parents sent me to college. Death to America.
HRC guy, you have been going over the top as well.
Well, it's important for us, they, them, to be accepted just like everyone else.
Yes, of course. And convincing people that they're intolerant for not wanting men to get naked in women's locker rooms. I guess that's genius. I mean, come on, it's next level stuff. All right, but insisting that your children be mutilated. I mean, come on, it's turning people off, you guys. I mean, not everyone, obviously, but until the election, can we just all pretend for a few months not to be crazed, lunatic, homicidal extremists?
Extremist? No, it's my body, Donald J. Trump. Donald Trump.
You will obey me. Sorry. Glad we're all on the same page, though.
Absolutely hysterical and spot on.
Yes.
As usual.
Yeah, calling them out. And, and it does send a good message that, a lot of things in life depends on the spend, depends on the marketing. And, and I'm definitely not the first person to say this. The Republicans, we have a marketing problem. And just we need an excellent marketer on our side. So Australia used to have a really bad immigration problem.
Right.
And Australia, okay, those of you who aren't that familiar with the geography, it's surrounded by a lot of ocean. So it's a little more difficult to get there than it is here. And so a lot of people were dying, on these rafts or boats in the water. And so the conservatives, brilliantly there, marketed it as all these people are dying to get here, and so they were able to close their borders, comparatively speaking. And so
in order to save lives.
Yeah, it saves lives. It's not giving them opportunity and blah, 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 and improving their lives. They're dying to get here. So I thought that was a good move on Australia's part.
Yeah, absolutely. But this video, again, spot on, just like all of their videos. They're hysterical. If you haven't gotten a chance to check them out, we're going to be reviewing more of them just because we really like them. And, it was so funny. They famously were banned on Twitter, now called X, before Elon Musk purchased it. And they had put a meme out for the Deputy Surgeon General, who's a trans woman. And they had her as the man of the year. And immediately it was, delete, Babylon Bee, ban off Twitter. And, that was one of the first things that Elon Musk did when he bought Twitter is he brought them back, and they're able to do great and wonderful things. Again, it's satire, right? And so it's not, it's not hate speech or anything like that. That they build themselves as a satire site, and so but we saw this and we thought it was absolutely hysterical, spot on, and we wanted to bring it to you. So thanks so much for tuning into Azimuth Podcast. Please stay tuned after these messages.
Hi everyone, thank you for listening. If you enjoy our show with all the stories we share, we would love your support.
And it's as easy as clicking that subscribe or follow button. This will ensure you never miss an episode and keeps us bringing you these important stories. Your support makes a huge difference. Thank you so much for being part of our podcast family.
Thanks, and keep tuning in.